Hello, it's Philip Taylor speaking from Richmond Green Chambers in London. This afternoon I'm looking at a book which has come to us from Routledge. This is a Taylor and Francis Group Informa Business publication. It's an important area of law, board accountability and corporate governance. It's got a subtitle which is part of the Routledge Research in Corporate Law series, which we'll look at in a minute. It's been written by Andrew Kay. We've given it a title for our review, Theoretical and Broad in Outlook. Kay makes a valuable contribution to our modern understanding of corporate governance, and he does just that. Let's have a look at the book first of all. It's only a small book, it's a hardback, there it is there. Spine and then the back. Law, Business and Management series. You can see also that it runs to something like under 300 pages, 282 pages. There's the back, it's actually page numbered, the index, so you've got some idea of where you can find things. The index is very small. There's a very useful conclusion which I found helpful. There's a lot of footnoting as well, which you'll find additionally of great use, but the conclusion is quite important. Boards are important and powerful bodies in companies. Boards staying absolutely. And it's very important they're given broad authority because it is thought the best way for a company to function well is to vest this power in boards so they can make decisions. Well, that's actually the ending point, but it's also the start point. There's the front of it. You can see it's part of the Routledge series there. And what we do have, that's the actual Routledge Research series in corporate law there. And then you've got the actual front title there. Then you've got the contents section. It's available as an ebook as well. There's the first part of the contents. Then there are 10 chapters in total, conclusions in chapter 10. Then there's a short preface from Andrew Kay, which I shall refer to in my review. Then there's the introduction. As you can see, there's paragraph numbering and so forth. Quite a lot of quotes, huge amount of research done into this. What is accountability, which is the biggest issue? It says board accountability, but the issue is bigger than that because, as Kay says, we'll look into that. It's such a fundamental point of what we do today. This is what we say anyway about the book. For many lawyers in the past, this used to be called company law, but we have to move with the times, so we refer to this substantive law area now as corporate governance. Although it's still the law relating to the way companies behave. That's my view anyway. And whatever you call it, we need to know what we're actually doing. There's been much comment in the last 20 years or so on the emergence of this modern concept of what we call a corporate governance, as we see many new statutory provisions enacted to take account of contemporary national, European and international practices, with regulation high on all agendas as the commercial world changes in the 21st century. And of course the one abiding policy remains that the courts continue to be reluctant to interfere in commercial matters unless they absolutely have to. We hope this remains the case, and for this reason we think Kay's book strikes just the right corporate balance for 2015. It's looking really at accountability in its modern way, with all the information that we now have available, which in fact in previous decades were not necessarily as forthcoming. The Taylor and Francis Group then, through their Informa Business arm Routledge, have produced a series of books on research in corporate law, and this is one of them, and it explores the changes which company law faces today. So they invited Professor Andrew Kay to write what is now what I consider the admirable Board Accountability in Corporate Governance. And in his preface, Kay states rightly that it's undoubtedly true that accountability is a critical matter in most areas of life today, and not least in corporate governance. So there is no escape from this what is called march on accountability for anyone, and there are no exceptions, and that is where we're going. Key continues in this vein, saying that within corporate governance, the accountability of the board of directors has been identified as a major issue by governments, specifically appointed committees addressing corporate law and corporate governance issues. That's international bodies, professional associations, and the academic literature. And of course these points lead directly to the need for this well-researched book, which is focused specifically on public companies, with the emphasis on Anglo-American companies in particular. Now, the author says that the boards have been given significant power within their companies, and as a consequence, the view is that they should be accountable for their actions. And the book draws on political science, public administration, accounting, and ethics literature for its research, and it examines the concept of accountability and its meaning in the corporate governance context, whatever value judgment the reader has already made. And I say that because accountability is the thread running all the way through, and it is so important to anything we do in our working lives today. Kay then reviews and surveys the rationale for making boards accountable, and he outlines the obstacles and drawbacks involved in providing for such accountability, which many will find most illuminating. And the book also describes how current mechanisms for ensuring accountability are assessed in terms of fairness, justice, transparency, practicality, effectiveness and efficiency. And then he goes on to identify some ways in which accountability might be improved. And I think that's a great benefit for anybody in practice. He also suggests, interestingly, that enhanced accountability can provide better corporate governance by helping to reduce the frequency and severity of financial crises and by improving confidence in company practice. And I hope he's right about that, is all I can say. The title then will be welcome, I think, to both lawyers and researchers for what is an in-depth study of a key element within the exercise of authority and management in corporate entities. And we get this word entities again, it being the current favourite word, as I've said, of the decade in this area of law. We consider that this book then will be of great use and interest to all researchers and students of corporate governance, business and management, and corporate social responsibility, as well as, of course, as practitioners and those curious about the future shape of corporate governance as the 21st century unfolds. Thank you very much, Andrew. It's a very good book. I found it fascinating to read. And the laws, as stated in his preface at the 30th of November 2014. There's the book again. You can see it. Nothing on the back. Just opening it up in the middle. Some of the footnotes quite long, you can see that there, but there's a lot of detail. There are quite a lot of quotes he's put into it. To whom is the board accountable? Always very interesting. The objectives of accountability. So as I say, whilst the title is Board Accountability in Corporate Governance, it's actually the accountability of company law. Who's it accountable to, and can they just go off and do their own thing? Or are there rules? And the answer is yes, there are rules, and they have to behave and act in accordance with them. Accountability mechanisms being another very interesting area. There's a lot of it. I haven't mentioned the Companies Act 2006, but it features pretty heavily. What a surprise. Thank you very much to Andrew Kay and to Routledge. Another excellent book from them, which I'm delighted to review. Thank you. Bye-bye.